Debunking the most common myths white people tell about race by NBC News. This is news, so pay attention.
To be white in so many ways is to be raised to be functionally illiterate on the topic of race. I am white.
Thanks.
And part of being white is that I was not raised to see myself in racial terms. I mean, I understood that somebody had race, but not really me. To be white.
So, does that ring true to anybody here?
No.
Not at all. This is just like...
That's why this has so many downvotes, because immediately as soon as it begins, she's just in a fucking other reality.
Yep.
It
has no relation to anything going on in this world.
It's that, like, look, white people are raised to be colorblind, and like, yeah, we accept that, but let's be honest, we know nothing about race. It's already like, you're guilty, you're apologizing. Look, I know I'm white, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to try to talk to the other white people and explain what's going on.
Yeah, I've never been, I mean, like, you know, when you're white, you know you're white. I mean, there's plenty of things in this culture that tell you you're white. If you've ever seen a black stand-up comedian, you know you're white.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
You're well aware of your whiteness at that point.
If you went to a school like Scotty did, a predominantly black school like you went to for a while in Baton Rouge, you know you're white, right? They let you know.
TJ, I'm illiterate on race.
Oh, I'm sorry. As a white person, you're, of course, racially illiterate.
Yeah.
I am.
It is to see oneself outside of race, to see oneself as a unique, special individual.
Man, that's so horrible. Can you imagine that? Just
Yeah.
thinking of yourself as a person instead
Wow,
of a
man,
color.
what a terrible value to instill in a child.
Remember that Mr. Rogers shit, like everyone's special? Wrong.
Yeah. You're an individual. You're yourself. You don't have to be like anybody else. Wow, man, what a
Paul
fucking terrible idea.
71-2-3, you know, .4. Please step forward. It's like, what? Are we the Borg now?
Exempt from the forces of socialization.
Right.
We were exempt from what?
The
Forces of socialization.
What does that even mean?
It
don't
means
know.
nothing. It means nothing.
Are you guys ready?
Exempt?
Exempt.
We're going to debunk myths about race.
All right,
Paul.
let's get some myths going. Debunking myths about race.
Yep. Oh, of course,
So,
colorblind.
myth number one, I don't
Of
see
course.
color.
I'll never forget a moment of standing beside a black man leading a workshop on race, and a white woman said to him, "I don't see color." He said, "Well, then how are you going to see racism? Because I am black. I do think you know that, and I have a different experience than you."
All right. No one's saying, when someone says, I don't see color,
That's a
not-
stupid person.
they're not, I mean, but like, they're not saying, like, I'm not aware that you're black.
Right, that's a statement that they're attempting to make, like, I don't judge based on color.
Right. Which, I mean, to some extent, in any human being, is a lie. There are, of course, biases in people.
Sure.
There are biases you can't
So
control.
it's virtue signaling.
I mean, yeah, it's really just a form of virtue signaling, but there's nothing
I
wrong.
don't see color.
There's nothing wrong with the sentiment behind it, in my opinion. Maybe I'm
it's
wrong.
saying that you're trying to look past those
Yeah,
kind of
it's saying,
tribal
like,
instincts of
yeah,
like,
I
oh,
don't-
you're black, so you're bad.
I'm not trying
I
to
don't
see a
trust you.
stereotype. I'm trying to see people as individuals, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, try to judge them based on who they are as a person.
Now, I don't know if anyone has actually attained that. I doubt it. But aspiring to that is a bad thing.
Why is aspiring to be colorblind to race and not making decisions? Isn't that what these people ultimately want? People not to be treated different because of
No,
their
I
race
mean these
or gender or
these
whatever?
people want you to be treated differently by
Oh,
race
okay.
and
Well, I'm
gender.
sorry.
They're like, you're black, so here's your list of special privileges.
Oh, okay. Well,
You know, to combat the white privilege of society.
You do. And you're not going to be able to understand that, and you're not going to be able to support the parts of that experience that are really painful and problematic if you refuse to acknowledge my reality. I don't see.
That's not true, though.
Like, yeah, nothing about I don't see color means that that person can't have a conversation with you and you relay your struggles to them. Like, it doesn't shut their brain to that.
it's this massive extrapolation on like a very small statement. It's like, this is why you're totally wrong. And it's like, there's no nuance. There's no little context beyond, I try not to see people's race. Oh, you're an idiot. Here's why you're wrong. Here's why you're actually a bigger part of the problem than you think.
You're actually racist as fuck.
I mean, I'd hear a critique of the statement as just pointless and kind of stupid nowadays because let's be honest, everybody sees color. Everybody knows that there are differences between the races and how they're treated and their experience in this fucking country.
Sure.
So, I'm not sure what worth it is anymore, but this angle on it, I just don't get.
Color is really a way of saying I refuse to acknowledge.
Wrong.
Oh, so see, you're a bad person.
If I want to say I refuse to acknowledge your reality, you walk up to me and say, hey, I'm a dumb feminist bitch. And I go, I refuse to acknowledge your reality. And I turn around and walk away. I don't say, I don't see color.
I don't see color.
I don't see anything. I refuse to acknowledge your reality.
What's your favorite color, M&M? I don't know. I refuse to see color.
It's so great because every time we've seen one of these videos, and all of us have seen a ton of these videos, they basically speak for you. It's like, this is what you're actually saying when you say this.
This is what you really mean.
This is what you mean.
Allow us to put words in your mouth. It's like, no.
So the next one is, I have black friends. You're not allowed to say that.
Oh, yeah.
What's important about that narrative?
Whoa.
Whoa. This is trippy.
Okay,
dude.
she's coming to me as
I don't know about this edit.
a logo here.
Is it reveals.
She looks like our logo.
I know, that's what I was freaking out about.
Is she gonna fucking shoot
should
her head?
change our logo
Have
to this.
Butterflies shoot out of her head.
This makes me more pessimistic than our logo
Yeah,
does.
dude.
Person thinks racism is.
The
So
woman
if the person is
in the
using
box.
proximity, fondness across race as evidence of a lack of racism, in order for that to be good evidence, a racist must not be able to do that. So that rests on an understanding that a racist cannot tolerate proximity to people of color. And I'm hoping that we can see that.
There's a difference between proximity and having a genuinely good friend, though. Like, she's trying to reduce friendship to just, I'm in proximity to you. And it's like, that's not friendship as I understand it. Friendship means accepting a person for who they are.
Yeah,
and yeah, like a super fucking hardcore racist probably isn't going to have a bunch of black or Hispanic friends.
You know, can there be a racist that has a friend of another race?
Yeah,
sure. but to only to a certain extent. If someone's like in the KKK or they're a neo-Nazi, odds are they're not hanging out with Tyrone in front of the fucking 7-Eleven.
But they're an extreme example. But from everything we've heard so far, all we've seen is personal experience claims, and so it's basically, if this is this person's experience, you have to acknowledge that's correct. And then also we have anecdotal evidence. I mean, so far everything that she's put forth has just been based on those two things. It's like, oh, so you either have to experience this and acknowledge this is correct, or you have to listen to the story about what happened and then acknowledge it's correct.
Yeah, here's one statement that a person made, and here's my
someone was at a workshop and made a
translation about what it really means.
It shows you how far they have to stretch to make these points.
Because trust me, even avowed racists can tolerate being around people of color, and often are.
There's a difference between tolerating people of color and
being a
friend to people of color.
It's not the same thing.
Race has nothing to do with it.
Maybe that's what her friendships are like, though, if you think about it.
They can tolerate being in my presence. They're my friends, you know.
I guess for her.
I mean, you know, that maybe she needs the bar that low. So the next one is race has nothing to do with it. It's about class.
You cannot talk about any other issue without talking about how race informs that issue.
What? That's the most broad, overreaching statement that I've ever fucking heard an adult human being make.
It's all about pronouncements. It's so strange when you hear these people talk. It's like
you can't talk about any issue without first discussing how race informs it. So I can't talk about lollipops.
Yeah, but what do you think about the impact lollipops?
What about the racist origin of lollipops, Paul?
Yeah.
You're a fucking racist, dude. You don't refuse to acknowledge reality.
Says it's about class. That tends to function as a way to get race off the table.
What?
That's it? That's all you got?
Wait. So when people point out that, hey, black communities have more crime, don't you guys immediately go to poverty? Is that the first thing you would say to explain that?
Yeah.
So maybe some of these issues are complementary. Like they don't necessarily. Yeah, maybe they go hand in hand, and sometimes they don't. Like that's the weird thing when you watch these videos. It's like everything they say is just like, here's a statement with no evidence, and that's it. And you have to accept it. And if you don't accept it, you're just a racist, or you're just not listening, or you don't get it, or whatever. I just don't understand that mentality.
Focusing on race is what divides us.
First of all, we're already divided by race. And focusing on race is not what did it.
Can I amend that statement?
Yeah, go ahead.
How about hyper-focusing on race is divisive and creates crazy fucks on both ends of the spectrum? How about that?
Agreed.
Well, we're looking at one.
not focusing on race, refusing to grapple with how race.
Because you know who's on the other end of the spectrum from this chick? The fucking race realists and shit.
Richard Spencer.
Yeah, the white nationalists.
Jean-Francois Garapé.
Virtually everything is what keeps
DJ.
us divided.
Shows you what happens when the conservative mind hyper focuses on race. This is what happens when the liberal mind gets hyper fucking obsessed with race to the point where they literally think no issue can be talked about without first discussing race.
I think
it's always an interesting thing about extreme points of view because they don't understand how they breed the other extreme point of view. They're like, those people are evil and we're fighting against them. It's like, you're helping to create them.
You are one with them.
Like, can you imagine the angry sex this chick would have with JF Garapé, dude?
Yeah, dude. I think we need to get these two
together.
I
imagine them like, they're like at a fucking like restaurant.
Holy shit.
They fucking clear the table of all the shit that's on it.
They might fuck a singularity into existence or something and end us all.
Yeah, to give birth to the Antichrist or something.
Well, dude, the next simulation will start, Paul, because you're probably living in a simulation right now.
Oh, yeah. You think that's the reboot trigger is getting JF and this bitch to
dude,
fuck?
I think
JF does like to fuck retards.
Dude, that's the fucking fail.
2.1.
Dude, that's the fail safe in the Matrix, dude. That's like if these two fuck, it's over. Reboot.
Yeah. Reboot the Matrix.
Game over.
The simulation is concluded.
And that is a very white narrative. All of those narratives function to get race off the table.
Yeah.
Close the exploration. Exempt the person from any further
This is where my tits would be if I had them.
And protect the racial hierarchy and the white position with it, which is an unequal hierarchy. The challenge I want to offer my fellow white people is changing the question from if to how. So dominant culture asks, if I'm racist. And I want to change that question to how have I been shaped by the forces of racism? How
can I have a loaded question inserted here?
Because it circulates 24/7, 365. None of us.
How can I constrict the narrative to fit my narrow view of race? Well, here's how you have to start any conversation. No. Fuck you.
Here's the challenge I have for you, lady. Why don't you go back and get some fucking evidence for the things you believe? Why don't you actually do some research? Why don't you actually find what your position is based on, I don't know, some tautological means of actually examining issues critically and not just going, this is how things are. Let's go from that point.
And if you say this, what you really mean is this. Fuck you. You lost me right there.
Yeah, I
say what I mean.
I don't like people who put words in my mouth.
Yeah.
I don't like people who, if I say one sentence, they extrapolate an entire philosophy from it.
I feel like it's especially egregious for a person like me who talks constantly, dude. I have plenty of words in my mouth already.
Yeah.
There's no room for yours.
There's no shortage of Paul explaining himself.